A little bit after 2, so I guess we'll start. So I've thrown together this presentation more like a show and tell. I reach out to Nick Owen about, hey, I have this topic I can talk about. He originally reached out to me to see if the company I work for could sponsor this event. During my day job, I'm contracted with a company out of Cincinnati that's contracted with one of the Fortune top 10 companies, and they happen to have a business headquarters based in Atlanta that went goodbye within the last month. They're just like done. They split it out to sub-businesses. So I had mentioned that to them. I looked up online to make sure, yeah, okay, they did post something on Yahoo Finance about that. So it's okay to talk about. So no, they weren't going to be able to sponsor anything. But I guess about a week and a half ago, I got the email saying, hey, you've been selected to do a presentation. So this is it. So show and tell. The thing I'm going to be talking about, anybody familiar with Pwnie Express? Those guys are awesome to be able to take hardware hacking and devices and to commercialize it so that companies that don't have the hardcore IT talent to be able to use these devices to test their environment. So it's very nice. However, for me, being I guess I would say a junior hardware hacker, I'm not like the guy that can reverse engineer a PlayStation 3 or anything like that. But I'm pretty handy with a soldering iron. Cut my teeth on the Linksys WRT54GL. I mean, that thing's amazing. You still keep doing amazing things with it. Like this, the latest thing you can add USB ports to that device. So, kind of take some of that knowledge, my knowledge of Debian and Ubuntu, and put together a show and tell on my Custom Power Pwn. I literally got the idea from the guys at Pwnie Express. I originally was, commissioned by somebody I do outside contract work with to put together a device similar to the Pwn Plug. But he wanted cellular access. And I was looking at all the hardware out there, and really the cellular access to those devices is from a USB port with a USB dongle. So I did some research, and I'm okay with the devices that are based on ARM or MIPCEL, but cross-compiling, that's not something you can write an amazing tutorial on, and somebody just be able to pick it up and do. So, like I mentioned before this talk started, my background's in IT auditing. I worked for the state of Georgia and the state of New York. I was their key pen tester, so I've literally got to pwn all the major agencies in those two states, and it's a lot of fun. And it's good. But now, in the private sector, as an analyst, so my day job is not as exciting. So I do stuff like this to keep my interest in the field. So when it comes to show and tell, I was thinking right before I came here about the last time I did a show and tell, and literally it was back in kindergarten. And I remember fondly. Now I see all different age groups here, so I'm talking about early 80s, and for me personally, that's when the best toys came out. So you got G.I. Joe, Transformers, and He-Man. And I remember in kindergarten, I brought my new He-Man action figure in, and it happened to be Prince Adam. And now remember, this is just ridiculous. What toy has purple furry mantis? And so I brought this to show and tell, and I still remember the kindergarten teacher talking about just the color of his outfit. At the time, 5 years old, this guy turns to He-Man. What are you doing making fun of his outfit? So this will be my second show and tell, and it's a little bit more not purple. So what I'll be discussing is taking. I'll talk about this board, this battery pack, and this ABC UPS device. Combine them, and you have a pretty powerful device that you can bring into an environment and remote into it. You don't need. When I designed this, my first thing to do was an outdoor enclosure, and this was just for wireless client pen testing. Just go, set this outside the building, walk away, go home, go anywhere, and conduct your testing. And the batteries that I'll talk about have a pretty good life with the particular motherboard that I'm going to be talking about. So, I mean, I put these slides together, but I'm going to actually show you the device itself. And I've actually improved upon, through some trial and error, getting it to work. But my main goal was to have it battery powered, but be able to plug it in and have it still function and charge the battery. The board's got to fit, and this is a larger board, and I went with it because it offers, and it's not in the screenshot, but there's a slot here for a PCI Express cellular card, and it's got the SIM card slot right there. So I packaged it all together, and I wanted to be able to integrate. I think it's best to show you. I wanted to be able to integrate the ports that come with it, because with these devices, I mean, it offers surge protection for your Ethernet. It offers surge protection for your coax. I wanted these to actually connect right to the Ethernet ports on the device. I also, for the third port, the data port, which actually happened to be a 10-pin, I think it's RJ50, to integrate that with the serial so I can just connect to it to directly interface with the device. And since my main thing at the time was to do wireless testing, these connectors right here are for any external antennas, though there is an internal one as well. So the device itself. So there's the actual screenshot of what I just talked about with the various ports. When I was putting this together, and I still got further development and actually put it out there if anybody's interested in actually doing this. Like one of the things you have to research just is the pinout of PCB RJ45s and the pin numbers and how they match up to the scheme for the actual Ethernet jack. So those were the two ports, and then just what I did for the RJ50 to allow serial port access. I mean, you only need 3 wires in this type of configuration, but I try to, I forget all the time. I really should sit down and memorize, okay, yeah, it's these 3 pins, male or female, transmit, receive, and ground. So, sitting right here is the actual device. I have it plugged in right off the bat because with presentations, you got to make sure everything's working before you talk, because most of the time it doesn't. I had to make sure I had internet. I had to make sure that thing was able to connect out. So one of the neat things that it's able to do is with the cellular inside with an external antenna, the device right here is able, it just connects out to using a reverse SSH tunnel with private key, public key, to a server that I maintain exposed to the internet. And then I'm able to just connect to that, and I'm right back to the device, and I could be anywhere. And that was the purpose of the device. And through my testing internally, I mean, all your cell phones work in this room, in this building. This device, and it has an external antenna, does the same thing. It's able to communicate out, and it's an out-of-band channel. So when you come back in to do your testing, whether it be wireless or you're connected to the network, like I said, you're able to do that from anywhere. And that was one of the features that we were looking for when we put together a device. So I guess now, as talks go, usually this will not work. I actually know it's working because it hasn't aired out, but it's whenever the device boots up, it creates a new SSH key. So in the script I just ran, it tells SSH to ignore the known hosts. So I'm in the device right now, and if it was plugged into the environment, when it starts up, the Ethernet ports are just bridged. So when you plug it in, it's just sending traffic through, which is great for monitoring it. It's the way you kind of want to start up. You don't want to interrupt anything that's going on in the environment. You don't want it to be detected. While I'm rambling on, is there any questions so far about? If not, I'll talk about the actual specifics of the device.
Does it only call out over out of band, or can you get it to call out over the Ethernet side as well?
Yes, you can. Now, because of the cellular, I haven't worked on that. I know for the actual PowerPhone for Pwnie Express, they specifically designed it to evade internal firewalls to try to find an exit to the company so you can communicate with it. I guess this is easier. Though, if I was to do a setup like that, I would do it the same way that they have it set up. In the future, I would like to get their software running on the device. Because that's their key thing for them, is that it's in a nice supported package with software that's kind of point and click for a lot of the things that you would commonly do in a pen test environment. So now the device itself. And with show and tell, I mean, you got to pass around to the audience what the actual device is. So, what you'll see, I'll actually escape from these slides and actually show you the company. And this is why I love this device. The company's PCEngines, they're out of Switzerland, and they make embedded boards for various applications, mostly in the wireless arena. They sell outdoor enclosures for some of their smaller boards. The best thing about this device, for me, and I would think for anybody without hacker experience, is that it's an AMD chip. It's x86. It's only running at 500 megahertz. There's no heatsink on it. The processor's right here. But with x86, I like Backtrack. I usually load up Backtrack, the latest versions, to see the newest tools that they have available. But in order to really understand the tool, it's great to be able to compile it yourself, configure it yourself. And on this device, you're able to do it right on the device. You don't have to set up an environment to cross-compile for some of the other processors. So that was a big hit. This version of the board is the only one that offers the mini PCI slot for a cellular card. It actually has two SIM cards. I don't know why I haven't used the second one, but the main one's here, the other one's on the other side of it. And the other thing I like is you get to pick what wireless card you want to use. When I was doing my research, I went on eBay and spent $5 on a wireless card that I knew would be supported by all the most popular wireless tools. But I think I may break the bank and spend $100 on one of the more high-powered cards, just because my Alpha just blows it away in range. They don't define targets. So to get one that's 1 watt would be nice. But they're when I started this research, I just spent $5. And actually, you can see as the device is being passed around what card that is. It just went on eBay and bought a used wireless card. So some of the things that it offers, it's got a standard serial port on the device. So I just use just a serial to USB adapter to communicate with it. They have great documentation on what settings to apply. There's the option, I use a compact flash card, but there's an option to add an IDE drive. Though when you're trying to be stealthy and you don't want clicking noise coming on, from other people, whatever person's desk you set this up at. So And for a lot of the testing you do, you don't need gigabytes and gigabytes of space. Whatever you capture, offload it, download it, run your cracking tools, have all your password files, offline somewhere to do your attacks. So the device, it has two connectors for wireless antennas. It's got two Ethernet ports, it's got two USB, and it's got another header on board, which is helpful. When I was putting these slides together, I try to list what I know works, the research I've done, what devices I've purchased, and where to get them. To get some of the high-powered cards, this company right here, Netgate, they actually sell some of these devices, but I bought them straight from PCEngines. It was a little bit cheaper, and you can get it configured how you want. So with some of the Ubiquiti and Alpha PCI cards are known to work with it, and I just did my research with Kismet and the Aircrack Suite on what drivers are supported. A little bit more research and tough to get something to work is what GSM card to use. So I've listed here, this is what I went and got. It works. It's popular on eBay. So you can go your own route if you want to do this, but I suggest go with something that's somebody already did the work with. One of the things when you're ordering pigtails, notice what the connector is on either the GSM card or the mini PCI wireless, because most of the time they are UFL, but some of them are the MXCX. Yeah, the great thing, I mean, being x86, you can install anything you want. The PCEngines site actually has a good list of links for operating systems that people have customized to work with this device. However, none of them are geared towards creating your own custom power pwn to bring on a pen test job. They're for routers. I guess you can take these devices and create your own industrial router or wireless access point on the cheap, and use the x86 architecture. I actually first learned about this board on the OpenWRT site, the main operating system I use on those Linksys routers, and now I've pushed the Linksys router aside, and I've picked up those TP-Link ones that you can get for like $23 now. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those. Just a little sidebar. This is a wireless access point, and it's $23, and for the power blows away the Linksys WRT. They're very hackable. What I actually have inside this, I added a serial port and a USB SD card reader for extra storage space, and it's only powered by USB port. So there's no power cord. This thing's fun, and it runs the latest version of OpenWRT.
Sorry, what was that again?
TP-Link is the company. The version of it is W703N. But TP-Link, they make very low-cost travel wireless access point routers. They kind of advertise it that it's 3G, but that just means you can plug a 3G USB stick in there and be able to use that as an access point. There's great documentation on how to flash your own firmware, because all the devices are in Chinese. So it's like, I mean, you can't read it. It's just like the second option from the bottom, click there, and then from this box you can click this button to load your firmware. The main operating system that I went with is Debian for Alix. The guy already put together an image. You just slap it on the compact flash card and load it up, and it works. I reached out to him because I thought what he did was awesome, even and helpful. So I reached out to him, and he gave me access to his wiki, so that from his base image, I talk about how all the commands you need to run to strip out everything that you use in an enterprise router. I mean, we don't need some of these tools running on it. So remove all that, and then instructions on how to install, and I keep adding to it some of the more popular tools. And I did start out with wireless testing, so there's a lot of documentation on that. But again, all the other popular tools, just like Nmap and Metasploit, getting those up and running. So I thank him for allowing me access to that page, and it's using the latest version of Debian. And if anybody is a user or if we want to, it's the same thing. It's the same commands from the command line. I guess technically, you can actually load a GUI on this and remote into it. But I guess I would only do that if I would never do that. I do everything. I try to do everything from the command line, which is kind of funny with my wife, because our main desktop is Ubuntu at home, and I thank her for allowing me to do that. But if she ever has trouble with something, she actually put the kibosh on. Can you just open a command prompt and just type this? She's like, no, you're going to figure out how to do it with the GUI. And some of those things I did. I mean, she found the equivalent for Task Manager, the GUI, and more power to her. You know, she was able to figure it out. But for me, I'm just like, type PS space -EF. Pipe grep. I mean, it's so easy to tell somebody over the phone, but she got sick of that real quick. One of the items I did research on is, and this is great for when you're actually doing a pen test and you don't want to keep a monthly plan going on whatever carrier you choose. T-Mobile offers you pay as you go, no contract broadband. It's $7 for the SIM card, and then you can see how much it is, and you can just go based on engagement. What was it? That was a couple weeks ago. It was just a one-day engagement, so I went. I think they even offer a 5-day as well. I think they've done this down to 5-day. But for communication with the device, I mean, it only limits you to 300 megabytes, but the only thing you're transmitting is commands over SSH, and that's only when you need to communicate with it. I mean, you should, most of the time there's scripts running to do all the testing you want, and you just kind of check in on it to see what information you've gathered. So there's other carriers, but I've definitely found T-Mobile to be the best because they offer the no contract. The problem with this, I was actually up in Toronto 2 days ago for a 3-day engagement, and I felt horrible that I didn't get to use this device. I brought it, and they had nothing but these all around their environment. However, the second you cross an imaginary line, yeah, I did stop by them. They don't offer anything nice like this. They're like you can buy the dongle. It's $150, and like no, I already have an unlocked GSM card, and I'm only going to be here for 2 more days, so it's all right. So, and I tried looking into it beforehand. I knew that was going to happen, but Rogers pretty much is the game in town in Canada. So yeah, there's limitations to this. I haven't done my full research on international custom Power Pwn hacking with the cellular card. So did we get, has the device been passed around to everybody? So now we can do more show and tell. I'll actually plug it in to the device itself. Let's check, see where we are on time. Any questions? So what I have in here is an XPEL battery. There's a brand It's Energizer puts their name on some of them. I actually have two. The smaller one right here is designed to power netbooks and anything under. I found that it powers this device for 4 hours. The larger one, which I don't use for this, it fits in the outdoor enclosure, will power it for 12 hours. And this is designed to give your laptops 4 hours of juice. I actually forgot my power cord for my the laptop for the presentation, so I actually plugged this in just to make sure it wouldn't die in the middle of this talk. So there actually is a great article on Tom's Hardware about all the portable batteries that exist. And I kind of did my price per whatever comparison. And I chose the Energizers. They come with two cables to support two different voltages. One of them for laptop devices and another one for smaller devices like the board from PCEngines. So they support 19 volt and 10.5 volt. 10.5 definitely fits in the range of powering this device. When I first got it, when I ordered from them, I forgot to ask for a power plug. It didn't come with a plug. So I just grabbed the one from my Linksys, with the 12 volt output. It worked just fine. They support pretty much every device you can plug something into. When I got the more expensive one, they gave me plugs for everything. There's USB ports on it, so there's cell phones, every laptop, every common laptop, and every common smaller device. And on their website, you can actually try to look up your device, and they'll send you the tip. And I guess their policy is tips for free. I guess it's two, yeah, just the tip. You get two tips a year for life with these devices. And they have a pretty easy site to look up to find out what your device, what plug works for your device. So with this battery pack, when I bought, and I just got this used on eBay, and I actually asked the guy, the shipping was outrageous because it's pretty heavy. I actually reached out to the guy. I was like, hey, could you remove the battery? I mean, I know you're selling this as the battery can work, and I don't want it. I don't need it. But then I got lucky. He was actually down the road in Atlanta, where I was working, the place I was shipping. So I responded to him again, hey, can I just come pick it up? And so that worked out nice. But when I took it apart, I gutted everything out of it. There was a circuit board that spanned the whole space here. I pretty much just cut everything out just so that I was able to solder Ethernet cables to the ports here. What I did keep intact was running from the actual power cord to the first strip, which was a strip that wasn't supported by any surge protection. So this strip works, which adds to the being able to hide it in plain sight. Then I just, one of the bricks that actually comes with to charge these battery packs, just cut the cord, soldered it to underneath one of the plugs, and then I'm able to fit it in. The great thing about these is that you can fit all this stuff in here. So, some Dremel work, some snips, some X-Acto knife work to make it pretty, enough. Hot glue gun to keep the components in place. And then the guy who I was building this for, he was like, hey, I got somebody on the inside of such and such company. It would be great if she could just walk in, plug this in, and turn it on. So the other thing I had to think about was an on and off switch. So I mean, the cable that interfaces between the battery and the router, this is actually pretty handy. Where you normally access the battery, it allows you actually to access a lot of the device. I usually swap out the SIM card, or there's a USB header in here, so there's a cable that plugs into it. So if I want to add I was thinking about adding a flash drive plugged in there so that this covert person would just be able to slide the back off and disconnect the USB drive. But there's a switch that allows you to power it on and off. Like I said, you got about 4 hours of this thing running before, to allow you to bring it to your destination, plug it in, and walk away, and it'll already start doing its thing. So with the lid off, I'll just pass around the device. There's this is kind of my common setup for it. There's 2 connections for external antennas, but I only use one most of the time. Because it is, I guess depending where you set up, a little conspicuous to have a giant antenna coming off the coax. But the great thing is the internal one works really well, and just using a right angle adapter, the antenna fits nice into the device. It's able to, it fits right in under, right in here when I put it on. Actually, it's on the other side, but so, more show and tell.
So I got a question for you.
Sure.
So you said you brought this with you to Canada?
Yeah.
Okay, did you check it, or did you do the battle with the TSA geniuses? Because once they got to look at this, they...
I brought this to DerbyCon, right? to show them, to show, you know what? Thankfully, I got in no trouble for it. I brought it with me so that whatever checked baggage I had, they weren't gonna. I wanted to make sure my baggage got there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's cool.
I'm glad you bring it up because that's a hilarious story. Because the first time I did it, I had it in my bag, and I had it. The lid was on it, the screws are off. Because I wanted to be able to open it up and explain myself if it came to that. The
You'd have
Alix.
been there for 6 more hours if you were explaining it to them.
Yeah, the board itself I had out as well, and I had the metal lid on it in my luggage, but I had it so I can just slide it off again because I don't know if the X-rays, if they just saw a big black box. So when it was going through TSA, I was watching it, and it was one of those things where they pause and they slide it back, slide it back through, and I was able to see what it looked like on the X-ray, and it did look pretty damn suspicious.
So should we be worried that they let you through?
Excuse me?
So that we should actually be worried they let you through with it. Because
Well-
God knows what else gets through that looks like that, but actually is really more malicious.
That actually is a good point. Because when they grabbed my bag and I was looking, I was just like, so they came on over, and the guy was really cool about it. I told him that it was a UPS that I had gutted, and actually he didn't care. He just said, all right, well, next time take it out of your bag and go through like it's a laptop.
Yeah.
And
That's
That's
got-
it.
That's got part of it.
that's it. So, I mean, I guess if you're, that was heading out to Cincinnati and Louisville for some business and DerbyCon, but yeah, I just took a trip flying out to Canada with that, and I've had no issues with it. I take it out, set it on the thing, and it goes through.
Now, if it had liquids in it, you'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
Or C4.
I mean, what, it was funny, if they had stopped me on the way back, the Pwnie Express guys gave me like a ream of stickers, and I just rolled them up and stuffed them in it. If they had opened it up and, I don't know, I haven't been stopped, so for what I was expecting it on the first try to, I did go to the airport.
It's like a drive. I had Abby Wambach, the women's soccer team in front of me in Charlotte, with a gold medal, and they kept looking at the gold medal. I swear to God, they didn't know. I'm not kidding.
Well, I guess it's not that often. I wonder
It
what
wouldn't
shows
show
up on
very
her
often, but
X-ray.
it's kind of like, she's on the women's soccer team, let her go.
So I guess I count myself lucky with that. I'm glad you bring it up because it is the first time through I was expecting a lot worse to happen. Is there any other questions? Is there, actually, one of the things I didn't ask, is there any people that dabble in the hardware hacking at all with the devices? Like they got the Linksys
Oh, yeah.
WRT.
That's a rocking platform for bad behavior.
Yeah, it's awesome, and the guy that wanted me to build this, I just happened to show him what I was doing with the Linksys, because I don't know, I hadn't been following up on that. I didn't know you could add USB ports to it, so I'm going to do that. So I showed it to him, and he's like, oh, you you should use that on a test, this or that. But I mean, that thing's so dated, it's running at 200 megahertz. Really, you can't run any tools on it. I mean, I had, just Kismet and a GPS chip in there just communicating with the serial port. So that I just had the box sitting in my car as like just a workout. I got to do that with that TP link. That chip's small enough to fit in that little box. That's my next thing to do.
Can you buy those TP links locally, or would you have
Online.
Online?
Now the company TP Link, yeah, you can go to Fry's.
Okay.
They sell that brand, but I don't think they sell that specific device because I believe it's only international in China. So you just go. I spent $23 on eBay,
Sweet.
and it took like 6 to 8 weeks to go through customs in Hong Kong and wherever. So you wait, but it's well worth it when you get it, especially for just being able to play around. I say it's the new Linksys because you can do a lot of things with it. It actually comes with USB port, so there's a lot of interesting things you can do with that device. There actually was anybody DerbyCon?
Yeah.
Anybody there? They actually had the Mini Pwner Village. That guy, that's the device he was talking about or had. You can go and pay, get the device, get the battery. His battery is like a nice little white square. It's actually the same size of that device. But I was actually walking around DerbyCon with the small battery that's in there with the TP link and a big antenna, just walking around and doing research for mobile device wireless issues. Which is
Which model did you say that was, WC703? Which one is that?
W703N, or maybe WR703N. But definitely, I mean, I guess if you Google TP Link and OpenWRT, that'll be one of the main devices that you'll find. Let's see. So they have great documentation, PCEngines for their boards. One of the things I suggest, I didn't do this when I ordered it from them, not a lot of, none of the headers are soldered on, none of the, like it supports a laptop drive, but once you put the header on, there's actually a surface mount somewhere in here that you have to solder to get it to work. And once you put this header on, I don't want to break my device. So it's tiny as hell, the resistor that you have to add. So you can ask them to do that, and it just comes. Same thing, it comes with a real-time clock battery, which is great. Ask them to put that on for you. If not, it's just, you actually have to ask them for the battery. Some of that stuff, those smaller stuff, they'll just ship to you. They'll just give it to you for free. They're pretty good guys to communicate with. But there's a lot of other features on the board. Like I said, USB headers, more serial headers, and they also offer plenty of other boards that are smaller. They just don't have the capacity for cellular right on board. Still got the being passed around. Excellent. I guess I can go into before the Power Pwn idea. I was originally designing this to be a wireless, something that I can set up on site to attack wireless clients. Because usually in an engagement, time is your enemy when you're sitting there. You don't want to be sitting there in your car for the entire day waiting for some clients to connect to you. So if you can just set this outside and then just come back and collect it, charge up the battery again, and do it the next day. And like I said, when testing this, it's 12 hours. So the device is able to fit inside, and I've added all the niceties to it. Everything I picked because it was round. For an outdoor enclosure, you want it to be pretty weather resistant. So there was connector. And Micro Center is not good for a lot of this stuff. Fry's is. I live on the north end, but I still drive like 40 minutes to Alpharetta for that Fry's. I think there's one up on 85 too. And that is an awesome place. I hope everybody's been there and spent, yes.
Since Champion's no longer here.
Since what?
Oh, never mind, just showing my age.
Another cool store that went out of.
That's not here anymore.
Champion
Yeah, looks like I don't have the adapter with me.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be into digiboards and modems, would you?
I mean, it's just from the board. It's just
bunch of digits.
a regular, just plug it in. It's just 3 wires running out, you know, and I just make sure it goes straight through. So when I plug this in, I'm able to communicate with it, especially once I close the lid. Added a power switch, so at, you know, my convenience, I don't have to turn it on right when I set it up and close the lid. It's got obviously the antennas that connect to the board itself, and then some networking jacks, which I just added for, I've never used, but they're nice to have, just to have every connection to the board, so you have it available outside. A couple people have suggested ideas on how to decorate this so that nobody's going to mess with it. But I guess one of the things is it is an electrical junction box that I got at Home Depot. So these are meant to be outside somewhere. Somebody idea of an Ecolab rat trap.
Yeah, exactly. Put the skull and crossbones on there, man.
Yes, just put Ecolab and poison and of course the other thing is just put it under a bush.
Yeah.
You know, and the other thing is, you know what, nobody's going to pay attention to it anyway. People aren't, especially, I hate to say it in this day and age, I guess it may freak out if you don't have any labels, and they think they just, you know, you just put some sort of bomb next to the building, but nobody's going to go up near it, I guess, for that fear. So, just, yeah, putting it under a bush is a great way to do it. Though it doesn't work if you're pen testing a tall building, so that's where the power component comes in. You're able to get that on site. I think that is everything. I do plan, I put these slides together to post online, probably along with the Alix for Debian for Alix site, the wiki, so that if anybody wants to do this, here's the stuff you can get that it will work right out of the box. Because sometimes getting stuff to work is the hardest part. Even if you're dealing with an x86 architecture, especially with wireless, trying to find the right card to work with the right drivers, and mobile cellular is even worse than Linux. What actually brings up something I forgot. You can't activate a cellular card in Linux. I found that out after I bought it. You can only do, like I bought the T-Mobile. Yeah, you can't activate it, you can't unlock it. So I had a, everybody have a chance to take a look at it? Well, the mini PCI Express card, that's all I had. I don't own a laptop that has that. I don't own a desktop that has that. But luckily, and these are, in subsequent searches, these are actually hard to find for some reason, but there is a company called Option that makes a USB where you're able to add the card to it with the SIM card. So I was actually able to plug it into my Windows 7 laptop, unlock it, because I made the mistake of ordering it off of eBay without it already being unlocked. It only cost me an extra $10 for DC unlock software. It's a pretty simple process. But for my testing, before I bought the T-Mobile, the company I work for actually happens to be a telephone company that actually has their own wireless division. So my work phone, my BlackBerry, I was taking the SIM card out of that to do the testing because I wasn't going to I wasn't going to pay anything yet to do the testing, and actually that's SIM cards in the device that's being passed around. And I found out a lot of times if I take it out and actually put it back on my phone so I can do my job, I would actually have to plug it back into Windows and make a connection to the broadband service before I could, and then take it back out and actually put it in the device and it would work, which is kind of annoying, but thankfully they do have USB devices, and that's something I document as well, where to get those. And for a lot of stuff, eBay's your friend, some of the obscure electronic stuff. Trying to think of any other interesting caveats with this. I do document, I mean, just because it uses a tool that was originally designed for dial-up, I use WB dial. So the commands that work with it to actually get it to connect to the internet. I hadn't used that in 8 years. I think. So yeah, this thing all fits all nice in a neat package. You're able to show up on site. Yeah, just make sure you bring an extra Ethernet cable, plug it in, plug it into the wall. It's already on before you get there. You make sure the cellular is working on it. There's scripts on the device because that's the key thing. If you lose a cellular, and it's on site, you're screwed. So there is actually multiple scripts, kind of some redundancy. There's a daemon monitoring tool on there, and I also have a cron job that even checks if the USB's gone down, because this device runs on the USB hub. The script will check the device if the USB is actually down, it'll reset the whole USB, and then start from scratch and redo the connection. I've got that running like every 5 minutes, just in case communication goes down. So, and that's a lot of that stuff. And this is just great stuff to learn just for Linux and not necessarily with this device. I try to document everything because of my background as my background was an IT guy that was forced to be an auditor. And as an auditor, you document it so that somebody who is not familiar with it could come in and recreate the work that you did. So that's kind of the angle I go when writing my documentation. So try to be helpful just to whomever. And I am available. Just go back to the main slide. Just put this is my own personal side project, not affiliated with anything that I do during the day. So that's my contact information. If there's any questions about anything I talked about, yes?
Have you considered enabling some controls in it as to contend with the possibility that it falls into enemy hands? Like encryption of the storage device that you have.
That is an excellent thing, and no, and yes, I will. That is great.
Right.
The landscaper could go into the bush and take that from you.
Right.
Yes.
Or the company you're pinned to.
So now, okay,
or your competitor.
So now we need GPS in it. Right. So you can track it.
Find my pawn box.
Yeah. Though for engagements, there's like the slip of paper, kind of like the get out of jail free paper, and then just contact information. Listen, you guys found something in active engagement. Stop what you're doing, put it down, type of thing. But the encryption, that is excellent. For the communication, I use public key, private key, because one of the first questions is, well, can somebody else get into the device, while it's turned on in the environment through the cellular connection.
But especially for the device that you leave outside.
Right.
It's certainly.
Because if they grab this, they can get the private key and get into your device, right?
They would be able to get back.
Into your
yeah.
internet server that you maintain.
Yeah.
So they really could pawn the pawnter, potentially.
Yeah.
It's just my home desktop. I don't know. I guess you can steal some music. See, this is great, and this, that's excellent. Like, this is a project that I put together like 6 months ago, And if anybody else comes out with any questions and ideas after the fact, just shoot me an email, because you know, this is pretty much something I put together myself. So if it can grow. I mean, what the guys do at Pwnie Express is amazing, but you can take it and expand on it. You can, if you have, you know, the hardware hacker in you and the Linux guru in you, it's just awesome to be able to do some of these things yourself. Plus, if they're customized, you know how they work, especially when you bring into an engagement, because there's a million ways to do certain things, especially with the wireless testing and the sniffing, my own scripts to start a better cap, to manipulate data. So it's nice to do it yourself, and to have more familiarity with it. And it's cheaper. I mean, sometimes that's, you know, especially if you're doing it on the side for fun. You know, you spend $20 for, you know, a site. You know, that's kind of the angle they take. Oh, I think it was just $20 for the UPS itself. So with that, probably running low on time. Does anybody have any questions? So yeah, feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, thank you guys.